Okay, good morning, friends. So far, as you know, we discussed about agricultural meteorology, soils, soil preparation, then weeds, manures. In the last class, we discussed about various food yielding crops. Our main food are the staple food yielding plants, especially they are being categorized into two main groups. One is cereals, the other is the millets. Under cereals, we discussed about rice, wheat, maize. Under millets, we discussed about sorghum, then pole millet, ragi, and korra. And in today's class, we'll discuss about oil seeds and also pulses. So we confine ourselves in today's class about various oil yielding crops. That is, what are the important oil yielding crops that are being cultivated in India, and the methods of soil preparation, methods of sowing, and their fertilizer requirements, methods of harvesting, methods of cleaning and storaging. And also we discuss about major pests and diseases that are commonly encountered on these particular plants. So oil, as you know, oil nowadays, of course, we achieved self-sufficiency in food crops, especially in cereals and millets. Now, because of green revolution, we could achieve this. Now we have reached a stage wherein we are in a position to export our produce to other countries. Thereby, we are earning a lot of foreign exchange. Only thing that we have to achieve self-sufficiency is with regards to oils. Now we are facing a lot of shortage as far as oils are concerned. We are yet to attain self-sufficiency in oils. Of course, the other thing is, as our food habits changed, and nowadays people are consuming more and more oils. Now, in yester years, when we were in childhood, that is 40, 50 years ago, the per capita consumption or each individual used to consume very little amount of, oil. But nowadays, because of changed lifestyles and because of, people's migration and people moving across the states, our food habits, tastes have changed. Nowadays, our consumption of oils has gone up enormously. That's why we are unable to meet our oil requirements. Now, green revolution, we have achieved. White revolution, of course, we have achieved self-sufficiency. We have achieved self-sufficiency in blue revolution also. I need not explain them. Green revolution means self-sufficiency in food crops. Whenever I say, white revolution in milk and milk products, blue revolution relates to fish, that is fish and fish products that we get chiefly from, water bodies, especially oceans. Now, we have to, agricultural scientists are trying their level best to produce high yielding varieties of, oil seed. But we are yet to achieve self-sufficiency. Now, the agricultural scientists have taken up this increasing or producing high yielding varieties, hybrid varieties, and thereby achieve a self-sufficiency under code what we call yellow revolution. So reaching self-sufficiency in oils is what is called yellow revolution, because as you know, oil is yellow in color. Hence the yellow revolution. Now, as far as oils are concerned, oils are primarily classified into two categories. One is, consumable oils or food oils, and the other is industrial oils. So we have, four or five, cooking oils or consumable oils or food oils. Groundnut is there, till otherwise known as gingerly oil we have, sunflower oil we have, safflower oil we have, and non-consumable or industrial oil means castor we have in our syllabus. Of course, if you go to either north or south, people use other oils, especially if you go to north, people take mustard oil and soybean oil. And of course, if you go to South India, especially in Kerala, people take coconut oil. In addition to coconut, even what we call rice bran oil is also used. Nowadays, we are using, or people are habituated using even palm oil. Malaysia, Indonesia and Malaysia, they rank first as far as this palm oil production is concerned. Even our governments, even government of Telangana and government of Andhra are also encouraging farmers to take up this palm oil so that we can achieve self-sufficiency in oils, cooking oils. Now, apart from this, even cottonseed oil is also used after purification. Even this can also be used as consumable oil. Now, of these, some 10 to 11 types of oils are there. Of these, we confine ourselves only to 4 cooking oils. One is groundnut, till, sunflower, and safflower. Of course, under industrial oil, we discuss about castor oil. Okay, so now groundnut. We'll start with groundnut. As you know, groundnut is both a pulse and also a oil seed. Primarily, it is a oil seed, but it can also be used as a pulse because of its high protein content, because of its high vitamin content and fat content, and because of good taste. People use not only for oil, but also they take either in the form of sprouts or roasted or salted or even in the form of what we call chickpeas. That is, these roasted groundnut mixed with jaggery and this pallipatti, what we call, is prepared. And children and even um, young people, even old people are advised to take this because it is highly nutritious because of high content of protein, because of high content of fats, and also vitamins and essential oils, essential amino acids. Because of that, we go for that. Even it is very rich in zinc, calcium, phosphorus. So that's why it is highly nutritious. Now coming to this, groundnut. Groundnut is India ranks, first as far as groundnut production in the world is concerned. Apart from India, even USSR, even Brazil, and other countries where this is grown on a large scale. As far as India is concerned, in India, Gujarat ranks first. Gujarat, Maharashtra, then followed by our Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh, even Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, even in Rajasthan areas also, it is grown on large acreage. Now, this it contains, around, 45% of oil in the seeds, in the kernel. The after milling, you get oil. Of course, whatever the cake you get, the cake can be used as a, fodder, as a feed for the cattle, and it can also be used as a manure. Even the chilka, what we call the fruit, whatever the capsule that is there, it can be used even to add to the, it is being added to the soil, and thereby it enhances the porosity or water holding capacity, and it loosens the soil. So now, this, as far as AP is concerned, as far as United Andhra Pradesh is concerned, it is Anantapur. Anantapur is the district where it is grown on a large scale. As far as Telangana is concerned, Mahabubnagar and Rangareddy and parts of, Medak, where this is grown on a large scale. And coming to the seasons, it it can be grown in all types of soils, but it needs what we call warm climate. It's a tropical. It needs a tropical climatic conditions. Humid conditions are not at all congenial for raising this groundnut. So where dry conditions, where tropical conditions are there, where generally the temperature is around more than 20, between 20 and 27 degrees centigrade is ideal for raising this crop. If the temperature crosses 30, generally your yield falls drastically. Even if the temperature falls below 15 degrees centigrade, it interferes with the germination and fruiting, etc. So ideal temperatures range from what we call 18 to 30 degrees centigrade. Below and above are not at all good for good yields. Now coming to soils, generally it can be grown in all types of soils, but sandy soils, loamy soils, and um, loose and not heavy. Heavy soils are not at all good for this. Loose soils, chelka like loose soils, sandy, loamy soils are very good. And the black cotton soils, of course, if you grow them in black cotton soils, also the crop comes up well. But the thing is, because of its sticky nature, black cotton soil is very good, in retaining moisture. But the thing is, when there are when the humidity falls, when the soil loses its humidity content or water content, there is every possibility for the cracks to appear in black cotton soil. In such a cases, harvesting becomes very, very difficult. If you pull them, even if you use blade harrows, etc., for harvesting, there is every possibility for the breakage of the parts. Now, one more thing you have to remember as far as groundnut is concerned, in almost all the crops, except your tuberous crops, most of the seeds, they are uh, epigeial, that is above the ground. Whereas groundnut, here the fruits, they are geocarpic. They are within the soil. They are hidden in the soil. So that's why when you harvest them, when you pull them, when you use your blade harrows, etc., there is every possibility for the breakage. If the soil is loose, if it's the sandy, then it becomes very easy for us to pull. Even the pegs, what we call the fruits, penetration into the soil becomes easy if the soil is loose, if the soil is not heavy. So hence, the sandy soils, loamy soils are very good for raising this crop. Now coming to the, because coming to the seasons, generally it can be grown in all seasons. But 80% of the crop in India is taken up only in Kharif season, that is in June, July. Generally, if irrigation facilities are there in those areas, especially in South India, if irrigation facilities are available, this is taken as a second crop or as a Rabi crop, but mostly as a Kharif crop, which is sown in the months of first week of June to first week of July. If it's a Rabi crop, generally sowing is taken up as a second crop, especially from September or October onwards. Even if you have, assured water there, you can also raise them even in as a summer crop, uh, growing or sowing them in the month of you know um, January, February. So because it is a short duration crop which comes up for harvest within 110 to 120 days, very easy for us to raise 2 to 3 crops in a year. Multiple cropping is possible. Now this, there are a good number of early maturing varieties are available now. Generally, JL1, JL2, JL3 are the good ones. And the other is Kadiri, Tirupati. Kadiri and Tirupati are the yielding. Generally, this will be asked in your objective type. Which of the following is the high yielding variety of or hybrid variety of groundnut? So JL1, 2, 3 are Tirupati and Kadiri. So Kadiri, generally it is in Rayalaseema. Hence, the hybrid variety developed suitable for that Rayalaseema area has been named as Kadiri, and the other is Tirupati in Chittor districts. So now, as far as the two important varieties are there, the one variety is of what we call bunch variety, the other is spreading variety. Bunch variety, you get all the parts in the form of a bunch. When you pull that, you will see 40 to 100, fruits clinging to the roots in the form of a bunch. Whereas in case of spreading type, from each nodal region, you will see entry of the parts, and it will be of spreading type. Generally, in spreading type, the yield will be more. And generally, the distance between two plants or between two rows will be more as far as the spreading variety is concerned. Whereas in bunch variety, they are of between two rows around 30 centimeters. Between plant to plant, it will be 15 to 18 centimeters is sufficient. Now, generally, the groundnut crop suffers from what we call deficiency of calcium, phosphorus, and sulfur. So generally, to reclaim soils, generally what we do is we add gypsum. We add gypsum to the field. If you add gypsum to the plant, generally at the time of what we call preparation of the field only before ploughing, generally farmers uh, spread this or put the gypsum in the field. Then by using ploughing and by using harrows, thorough mixing of the gypsum will be taken up. They later on the sowing will be taken up because it is a rainy crop. Generally with the onset of the southwest monsoon in the month of first week of June, generally the sowing is taken up, and generally the seed is sown by using what we call seed drillers. Seed driller machines are there, or bullock drawn seed drillers are there, or even nowadays even you can also use what we call tractor for seeding purpose. Now generally the thing is here, to check the weed menace, generally what we do, pre-emergence herbicides such as what we call pendimethalin or flucloraline are being added, butachlor, alachlor, etc. can be added to the soil so that you can check the sprouting or germination of the weeds. So especially after sowing, 20, 25 days after sowing, you will see the seedlings coming up. At that time, even the weeds also emerge. So these early days, first 30 days are very, very critical for the crop. Hence, the weeding, 2 or 3 weedings are to be needed so that you can enhance your food or your groundnut output. Now, one more thing you have to remember here is generally to enhance productivity and also not only quality but also quantity, and also to enhance the fertility of the soil where you are taking up this. So generally you get good yields provided you treat the seed. You treat the seed um, uh, with thiram or captan, etc., to get rid of fungal spores or fungal diseases, if any. And the other is by inoculating inoculation with nitrogen fixing bacteria such as rhizobium by using 3 methods. One is what we call slurry method, pellet method, and trickle method. These are the 3 methods, thereby before sowing only. So here the method is what we call you take up you dissolve 5 grams of jaggery in 100 ml or 20 grams in 1000 ml, and you get what we call slurry. And into that the pellets or peat the peat culture, 20 grams of peat containing or soil or peat containing rhizobium will be added into it. And then this seed before sowing will be spread on the floor, and whatever the slurry you prepared, it will be sprinkled on this, and it will be dried under shade. Then After 2 or 3 days, you can, you know, sow them. So this is one, and adding, calcium carbonate into that makes, pellet like, so that it will be in the form of a thin layer around the seed, and that can be sown then. Then trickle method is another method wherein this slurry is prepared, and to that, the inoculum is added. And when you are sowing the seed, behind your plow, and by using a small funnel-like thing, drop wise, like drip like, in the form of drops. This slurry will be added along with the seeds, so that um, the seed gets inoculation of rhizobium, and thereby rhizobium, because it has the capability of fixing atmospheric nitrogen, it adds, and you get, they support what we call root nodules. So thereby they support nitrogenous requirements to the crop, and also the excess will be released into the soil, so that your next crop, for raising next crop, you can reduce the amount of fertilizers you add to the soil. So now, harvesting done. I told you, generally before harvest, the soil should contain minimum amount of moisture, so that the parts will not break. You can pull them, or by using a blade hair also you can do harvest. And then after harvest, generally they are spread in the threshold area, and under the hot sun for 4 or 5 days, so that the moisture of the seed should be around 8%. So if you do not dry properly, there is a very possibility for a attack of, aspergillus. And the attack of aspergillus will spoil your produce. And the aspergillus produces a toxin called what aflatoxin. So that to avoid this, what you have to do, you have to dry that. You have to dry your produce under sun. Then you can, lift them into sachets and sacks, and you can transport them. Then we move to what we call castor oil. Castor oil, of course, the groundnut, you have to remember the scientific name Arachis hypogaea, a member of Fabaceae leguminosae. Coming to castor, this is the industrial oil. It is not consumable oil, and generally the resinous communis is the scientific name, and it falls under what we call Euphorbiaceae. Now this the castor, by exporting castor, we are earning a lot of foreign exchange. Now this castor is also grown as a kharif crop. As a kharif crop, generally the soils which are unfit for other crops, that can be used for raising castor. What I mean to say here is even barren, infertile, loose, and chalca soils can also be used for raising the castor. This will not, such poor soils will not support other crops, but even under those conditions also, the castor comes up well. Now, this Ricinus communis, a member of Euphorbiaceae, now this is not a herb. It is, traditional varieties of what we call tree-like. Your traditional varieties, they come up for flowering and fruiting, and they take more than 250 or 300 days. So 8 to 9 months. But nowadays, we have scientists produced a number of short duration and short stature. Short stature. The big one will be very tree-like. Even harvesting becomes very, very difficult. If it is on a short one, which are of 5 feet or 6 feet high, from the branches, you can make easy harvest. Now here, generally, the high-yielding varieties, Aruna is the high-yielding variety. You have to remember this, Aruna. And these, they come up, for harvest 120 to 150 days. 120 to 150 days is sufficient. And generally, it is mostly a kharif crop, either grown as a single crop, or it is grown as a mixed crop or a double crop. This can be grown as a double crop also. So horse gram can be grown, or green gram, red gram, or black gram, etc. Um, Even this can be grown, or this can also be grown as a hedge crop as far as your turmeric is concerned, or in what we call, mirchi. There also, as a hedge crop, you can take up this castor oil. Okay, now this castor oil, it is used for multiple purposes. Generally, as a lubricant, it is used as a in making soaps. It can be used as a hair oil. It can be used even as a lubricant in aeroplanes, etc. This is being used. Now, third important crop is what we call sesamum. Sesamum is otherwise called as gingerly oil. Gingerly oil or Sesamum indicum is the scientific name. It falls under what we call Pedaliaceae. Now, this is a short duration crop. It comes up for, for maturation in just 75 to 100, 120 days. So just 2 to 2.5 months is sufficient for this Sesamum to come. Generally, this will be taken up as a kharif crop. Generally, this is grown, in the month of June. Generally, this will be grown. But of course, in some areas, even this is grown as a rabi crop also, as a second crop also, this is being taken up. When compared to other crops, gingerly or the till, its oil content is very, very high. Its oil content is, 50%. 50% high oil content is there, and even protein content is also very, very high. High protein content is there, and it is a short duration. It's a short duration as far as its physiological function. Yeah, when you take up, when you take this, even it became very, very popular in COVID times. I hope you remember. In COVID times, even nowadays also, generally elderly people who are 50 plus or 60 plus, they are advised to take this sesamum with jaggery, because this supplies you essential amino acids, and also it has good amount of proteins and fats. Very good, as far as it is highly nutritious. So mostly it is taken up in the as a kharif crop, but in some areas it is also grown as a magi crop, or as a rabi crop. Now, generally, there are different types of varieties are there. Primarily two kinds. Some are white, some are black. Generally, the oil content in white ones is more when compared to black ones. But when compared to black ones, the white ones, the yield in black ones is more. And especially in certain religious, functions, generally people go for what we call black till. Okay, so now this sesamum, yielding varieties are there. Especially sometimes they may ask you the yielding varieties of sesamum. Rajeshwari is there, Madhavi and Sweta. These are the yielding varieties of sesamum. Now coming to the harvest method, now it produces what we call, capsules. So they are to be harvested at a right time. So when the green part, generally the parts will be, or capsule will be green in color. When the green color slowly changes to yellowish color, then you should, cut them and bundle them, and take them to the, harvest or threshold area, or where you generally you take a highly placed area where the soil is you know um, made to smooth and compact. That threshing floor can be used uh, for stacking them. They here, what the cut portions. The cut portions will be their bundles, and they'll be put like this, and they are exposed to sun. Now, when they get dried, the capsule breaks. The capsule breaks, and it shatters seeds. So if you do not cut them at right time, there is every possibility of shattering and spreading of the seed even in the field. because seeds are very small, very difficult to pick up. So that's why one should not go for late harvest. Now, generally, when capsules break, what you have to do, the the bundle, the stalks or the bundles, they are to be inverted. So when you invert, whatever the seeds that are there, they come down. Again, you put them upright and keep them for 2 or 3 days again under hot sun. Then the whatever the seeds that are yet to come out, if you again invert them, you get the seed. So this is about what we call the sesame. Sesame. So now we move to other two crops. One is what we call safflower and sunflower. The safflower, I hope you know, safflower is otherwise known as safola. Safola, I hope you heard it. So if you go to very big malls, there you will see safola oil. Now this is the costly oil. This is a costly oil. It is costly because it has unsaturated fatty acid, because it contains good amount of linoleic acid, which is very good for reducing your cholesterol content. Hence, people suffering from heart diseases are advised to go for safflower oil or safflower oil. Now, the big history is there. Safflower is under cultivation from times immemorial. This has been under cultivation in India and West Asian countries like your Iran, Iraq, in Afghanistan, Pakistan nowadays. In all these countries, this has been under cultivation for long times. Now, this safflower, this is cultivated. People used to cultivate for dual purpose in good olden days. They used to, because the safflower, the stigmas are, yellowish and maroon in color, red and maroon color are there, and people use it to cut those stigma portions, and from that they used to extract dye. That the dye is being used in good old days. How now with now we have many synthetic dyes are available now, so hence we do not go for their stigmas, but we primarily go grow them for their oil. Now this safflower is cultivated primarily for oil. I already told you because of it has the ability to reduce cholesterol. Generally, heart patients are advised to take that. Now, as far as acreage and cultivated area is concerned, generally Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. These are the areas where this is grown on a large scale, and generally this is grown as a rabi crop. It is grown as a winter crop. It requires, chill weather. And of course, when it is flowering and fruiting takes place at that time, bright sunlight is needed. So, hence, this is a South Indian. Generally, it is grown mostly in South India, where the conditions are very, very congenial. Now, to get good yields, generally, people are advised to our farmers are advised to add 40 kg of nitrogen and 20 to 30 kg of phosphorus, and 10 kg of potash is sufficient to get good yields. Now, generally, because it is a rabi crop, generally the soils, it is as a second crop. This is grown either as a solo crop, as a single crop, or as a mixed crop. This will be grown as a mixed crop along with what we call, you know, uh, along with, Bengal gram, or along with what we call groundnut. This can be taken, or as a, as a, um, as an intercrop in sorghum. So especially if you go to Karnataka and Maharashtra area, generally big tracks, generally sorghum is grown. Generally there you will see this, safflower uh, for 7 to 8 lines. 7 to 8 lines are your sorghum. Then that will be alternated with this safflower. So here safflower grows to a height of 2 to 3 feet high, and generally you find what we call the spines. The leaves, leaves have what we call serrate margin. Saw-like margin is there, and generally they end with what we call spines. So generally, hence, even there is no threat from what we call animals also. And even because they are spinos, as the leaves are spinos, when it comes for harvest also, generally they are cut only in the mornings. So after harvest, generally they are bundled and taken to the place where they are threshed. And generally, the seeds, generally they are whitish in color and give good amount of oil you get. And generally, here we have what we call Manjira. Manjira is the high yielding variety, especially this is suitable for Zahirabad and Medak districts where it is grown on a large scale. The spacing should be, the row to row, it should be 45 to 60 centimeters, and plant to plant, 15 to 20 centimeters is sufficient. Now, because it is taken up in a rabi crop, when the field shows what we call cracks, in that case, if water is available, if you give one or two irrigations, generally your produce or the productivity gets enhanced to a remarkable extent. Then we move to what we call sunflower. Sunflower, of course, the safflower is Carthamus tinctorius. Its name is Carthamus tinctorius, scientific name, a member of Asteraceae. Now, in all the oil seeds, after squeezing, after milling, whatever the cake you get, except in what we call in castor, in all other oil seeds, it will be used as a feed for the cat. It will be used as a feed. As far as castor is concerned, that will be added to the field because it is not, uh, uh, even given as a feed for the cattle. So now sunflower, sunflower is a recent entry into India. It came to India only in late 60s. Prior to that, this cultivation of the sunflower was not there. So sunflower, as you know, as the name tells, the inflorescence, head inflorescence turns. It shows phototropic. That is, it turns towards the sun. Uh, in the mornings, generally they face towards east, and as the sun rotates, so also even the head also rotates. By evening, it faces west. So hence it is called sunflower. Now the sunflower, generally, the sunflower is grown on a large scale, especially in Russia, Ukraine, Romania. These areas, it is grown on a large scale. Now, because of this Ukraine and Russia war, last year we have seen there was an escalation of prices. So nowadays, this sunflower oil is available. 1 liter is nowadays it is available for 100 or 110 rupees. But last year, when the war between, of course, more than 1 year ago, when war broke out, between Russia and Ukraine, because Ukraine and Russia both grow this sunflower on a large scale. So the import got affected, hence the prices have shot up. Now, with the intervention of government of India and other world nations, the transportation was made easy, and now we are getting, and what we are trying, government of India is trying, to encourage the farmers to take up this sunflower cultivation on a large scale. Now, when compared to other, oil seeds, generally the sunflower yield is more. Sunflower yield is more. Generally, for one seed, you get 100 seeds. For one seed, you get more than 100 seeds. You get because the inflorescence, head inflorescence, very big one, and not only single. If the space is more, even on a one plant, you will see branches, and each branch ends in a inflorescence, that is head inflorescence. So the yield is very, very large as far as sunflower is concerned. Now, generally, this is a rabi crop. Generally, this is grown in the residual moisture of the soil retaining or moisture retaining soils, especially block soils and block cotton soils and other even light soils. Loose and light soils can also be used. Like your what we call castor, this can also come up even in soils which are not so fertile. So if you have irrigation facility, that is water source is available by adding, either farm add manure or your, fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, you can take up this cultivation of this sunflower. So it is also an asterisk, remember Helianthus annulus, and generally now this, the oil content is more and it is a short duration and it is a drought resistant. Even if, monsoon fails also, even if northeast monsoon, one or two showers we expect. Even if fails also, it has the ability to withstand drought conditions. Now, only two or three disadvantages as far as this crop is concerned. Generally, because it is a cross-pollinated crop, generally, if the bee population, the pollinator population falls, because of, a denudation, because of removal of trees and habitat, generally the population of pollinators, especially bees, is getting dwindled. And so, because it requires bee visits, so cross-pollination fails. So the seed setting fails, and you see what we call pops, that is lights. You don't have, endosperm and embryo and endosperm are absent in them. So they are pops, ginjal. So generally, a lot of loss for the farmer. So what we have to do? The thing is, seed setting is one, and the other is the bird menace. Birds visit and they take up the seeds. They feed on the seeds. So thereby they cause a lot of damage to the farmer. So poor seed setting and pop seeds and bird menace. These are the two disadvantages as far as the sunflower are concerned. So, and short notes, you may get what we call hand pollination. So I told you, because it is a cross-pollinated crop, if required number of bees fail to visit, there is every possibility for the pollination to fail. If pollination fails, no fertilization, no seed setting. So to avoid this, what we should go for, farmers are advised to go for what we call hand pollination. In hand pollination, what we are supposed to do, the farmers are advised to enter into the field between 7 and 8 a.m. And they have to rub, their palm on the surface of or on the head inflorescence very gently. And you take your palm and rub your palm on the other inflorescence. So what if you look at, after rubbing over the head inflorescence, you will see what we call yellow mass. That is nothing but yellow pollen. Yellow pollen dust will be there sticking to your palm. If you rub it against another inflorescence, then you will be transferring the pollen from one flower to other flower. Thus, cross-pollination gets affected and your yield goes up. Okay, so now this is about what we call the oil seeds. Then we move to pulses. Now pulses, pulses are very essential for us. Very essential, what Vemana says, ఉప్పులేని కూడు ఒప్పదు రుచులకు పప్పులేని కూడు ఫలము లేదు పప్పులేని వాడే అధిక సంపన్నుడు అంటాడు విశ్వదాభిరామ. So our diet must and should contain pulses. So you get, by eating your rice, wheat, maize, etc., what you are getting? You are getting carbohydrates. Your protein requirements are met by your pulses. Pulses are rich in proteins. So now in syllabus we have, we'll read about 4 types of pulses. We have black gram, green gram, red gram, and Bengal gram. Black gram, as that tells you, black. It is black in color. Generally, the black gram, Vigna mungo, or Phaseolus mungo is the scientific name. And generally, it is very rich. And generally, this will be taken up generally in India. Generally, this is grown as a kharif crop, but also where the irrigation facilities are available, this will be sown even in the rice fallows as a second crop. If you go to, generally, Godavari districts, Godavari Krishna deltaic areas where first crop will be your rice. And before harvest, we learned about what we call cropping patterns. There we have seen relay cropping. Relay cropping. So in relay cropping, what we do generally, farmers do, you know, they sprinkle water on the black gram, and they made to sprout. In 3 to 4 days, they sprout, and the sprouted seeds will be spread, displayed in the rice field before a week before we take up what we call harvest of the rice, 5 to 6 days before the harvest. So by the time you harvest your rice, the sprouted, the seeds you have spread in the fallows, they establish. Seedling comes and it establishes. So by using residual moisture and by using the fertilizers you have already added for the rice, taking up this, you get your second crop of black gram. Now it comes for harvest, within 70 to 90 days is sufficient for you to get this high yielding varieties or early maturing varieties are nowadays available. This black gram generally is popular in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh generally, in breakfast dishes, in idli, in gare, in dosha, in all these, generally we make use of this black gram, which is highly nutritious. Now, all types of soils and all types of seasons, as a kharif crop, as a even as a rabi crop, even as a summer crop, also you can take up this one. Now, being a legume, being a leguminous group, it has root nodules where it hosts, or it, rhizobium is there in the root nodules of this, and there they fix nitrogen, thereby add to the fertility of the soil. So whatever the fertilizer that you are required to add, gets generally, being a leguminous crop, just 15 to 20 kg of nitrogen, 30 to 50 kg of phosphorus, and 30 kg of potassium per hectare is sufficient for you to get good yields of this. Generally, it comes, I told you, 70 to 90 days, and generally, the hybrids, the high yielding hybrid varieties will give you 7 to 12 quintals per hectare. Hectare, I think 2.5 acres is what we call hectare. This generally there are two varieties, especially as far as this black gram is concerned. Some are black in color, some are green in color. Both are nutritious and both come up well in all types of soils. Then we move to green gram. This is Phaseolus aureus or Vigna aureus. Its scientific name. It is also a member of Fabaceae. Now, green gram, when compared to all others, except what we call our soybean, glycine max, this has highest protein content. Green gram contains highest protein. Highest is, of course, glycine max soybean, and second one is our what we call green gram. Green gram has highest amount of proteins. This has been under cultivation since times immemorial, and this is and this both black gram and green gram, they not only give you seeds or pulse, but even what we call even the fodder. You get the fodder or the capsules after harvest, after trampling, whatever the that will be used as a feed for the cattle. So even the leaves that fall, generally when the both black gram and green gram when they come for harvest, the leaf shedding will be there. Leaf shedding will be there, and you will see only the legumes, that is pod or the legume will be available. And here also they are to be harvested at right time, or else there is every possibility for the breakage and shattering of the pod. Thereby it disperses the seeds. So hence, so when the green leaves turn, generally become yellowish in color, then you think, then observe this, pods also. Pods generally will be greenish in color when they start turning to, blackish color, or light, or when green color changes to brownish and blackish color, then you should start harvesting them. So here in both the cases, after harvesting, these bundles will be taken to the floor, and they either by using sticks or by trampling with cattle, you get your produce, or these pods will be broken and you get the seeds. And after winnowing, you get the clean seeds, and that will be spread under sunlight for 3-4 days. Then it will be filled into gunny bags. So generally, these and both of them, in some cases after harvest, they'll be plowed into the soil. And if there are 2 or 3 rains, because if you take this as a kharif crop, after harvest, generally, farmers, they plow them. If you pluck them, if they pluck the pods, and whatever the plant that remains, that will be plowed. If you cut them, in that cases, of course, it is not possible. So this can also be used as a green manure. That's plowing the leftover ones, or in some cases, this will be raised and it will be plowed before it comes for flowering. Thereby, it adds to the fertility of the soil, and also adds to the physical change in the physical conditions of the soil. That is, soil becomes porous. Soils, nitrogen phosphorus content gets enhanced. Its porosity and water holding capacity also gets enhanced. Now, generally, in not only in Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and in Telangana, generally Warangal, Karimnagar, and in Andhra, generally, and Krishna and Guntur are the districts where this is taken up. Both green gram and black gram are taken up on a large scale, both as a kharif crop, and also when irrigation facilities are available under Nagarjuna Sagar and other projects areas where canal irrigation is available. There, this will be grown as a second crop and also as a third crop. So spacing will be generally 30 centimeters, and generally between 2 rows, and 15 centimeters between plant to plant is generally done. And it comes, generally, green gram comes a bit early. It comes for harvest in 60 to 70 days, and yield will be 5 to 6 quintals. So less than your black gram. Then third pulse. Third pulse is what we call, a red gram. The red gram is otherwise known as PGNP, Kajanus kajan, another member of Fabaceae. The difference between these, it differs from black gram and green gram. Its root system. Its root system will be very deep. It enters into the deeper layers so that it can absorb the nutrients even from the deeper layers. And it comes, it takes, 5 months, 4 to 5 months for harvest. And generally, this will be grown as a mixed crop. As a mixed crop, or as a double crop. Generally, it will be along with what we call green gram, black gram, because they come for harvest in 60 to 70 days. 7 days. But this takes, some 120 to 150 days. Even after harvest of your green gram, black gram, then this PGNP comes for flowering. So whatever the fertilizers you added for the other two can be utilized by this. And if it is grown along with as an intercrop in sorghum, maize, and other crops, and after the harvest of the jowar, etc., this comes for harvest. So there are good number of high yielding varieties are there. Generally, as far as this red gram, generally this red gram is popular in South India. Generally, in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, uh, and Kerala, these are the areas where people prefer this red gram. But if you go to North India, generally they go for what we call Bengal gram. So its protein content is very good. And as far as Telangana is concerned, the big market for this red gram or PGNP is Tandoor. So in Tandoor area, generally in western erstwhile Rangareddy or nowadays Vikarabad district, there this PGNP or red gram is grown on a large acreage, and even uh, varieties are there. Generally, a number of varieties are there. Some are what we call green, and the other are white are there. Both are highly preferred, and the yields are also very good. And generally, the yield will be, if it's a mixed crop, you get 500 to 600 kg, and if it is a pure kharif crop, it will be 15 quintals, 15 to 20 quintals per hectare. You get this you know red gram or PGNP. And after cultivation, after harvesting, whatever the branches and the main stem that is available, that can be used as a firewood. And the leaves that fall, it adds to the fertility of the soil. And generally, the high yielding kharif varieties are Palnadu. You have to remember Palnadu, Asha, Durga, Abhaya are these are the high yielding varieties. So generally, in under objective, generally they may ask this. You have to remember one or two important varieties. So remember Palnadu, Asha, and Durga. These are high yielding varieties of PG and PR, the red gram. And the last one is what we call Bengal gram. Bengal gram is otherwise known as chickpea. It is a Caesar arietinum. All the pulses fall under, you have to remember, all the pulses come under Fabaceae or the leguminosae. All cereals and millets come under Graminae or Poaceae. You have to remember this. So this Bengal gram or chickpea, as I already told you, this is popular in North India. So in North India, generally in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, in Punjab, Haryana, Bengal, these are the areas where this is grown. This is mostly a rabi crop. This is a winter crop. Generally, sowing is taken up in the first week of October onwards. Even in South India, especially in Andhra and other Karnataka, Maharashtra areas, where black cotton soils are available, so this is taken up as a second crop. So this rabi crop uses whatever the residual moisture that is available, whatever the fertilizer that you have added for the first crop of the kharif crop, that will be utilized by this you know, Bengal gram. Caesar arietinum is the scientific name. Now, Kranti and Jyoti, these are the two high-yielding varieties of this Bengal gram. Now, generally, this will be even in Rabi crop also, this will be taken as an intercrop. Intercrop along with what we call gram and jowar. That is, along with the jowar, this Bengal gram is sown, and in some cases, along with wheat and barley. So if you go to North India, generally, in along with wheat and barley, this is grown, and in some cases, and Bengal gram and safflower, linseed, and mustard, along with mustard also, it is grown. So North Indian people prefer this, and generally, this pulse has very old history. This has been cultivated in West Asia, especially in our Afghanistan and other areas for times immemorial. Now we have number of varieties are there. So generally in our area, what we call red ones, small and red ones are traditional varieties of Bengal gram. But if you go to you know West Asian country, generally what we call bigger ones, white and bigger ones, what we call Kabuli chana. So this Kabuli chana is popular as far as North India is concerned. So this is also very good one, and rich in what we call protein content. Now it also suffers from number of diseases. Generally all pulses, they suffer from what we call insects, especially the pod borers. The pod borers, they make an entry. The young ones make an entry into the pod, and they eat away all the tender seeds, and thereby farmer suffers from a lot of you know loss. And apart from these spot borers, they also suffer from what we call wilts. Generally, fusarium, genus Fusarium, species of Fusarium generally they attack and they cause what we call wilt. Wilt. So this wilt is very common even in red gram and also even Bengal gram, wherein the entire plant, dries. This is because of wilt, wherein the fusarium enters into the conducting tissue, especially your xylem, and blocks them. Thereby, the upper part, uh, you know, suffers from water shortage. Thereby, it dries. So even we have what we call rust. Rusts are also there. Generally, Euromyces species cause a number of rusts. Rusts are there. So this is about what we call the pulses. Now with this, we have completed today. Of course, we had to rush through because we learned about more than 10 crops. Learned about more than 10 crops. We discussed about various oil yielding and also your pulse yielding crops. So if you have any doubt, you raise doubts so that I'll try to clear off your doubts. If not, we will have our next class tomorrow, same time. That is from 12 to 1. No doubts? If no doubts, let us call me this. Let us end today's lecture and hoping to meet you tomorrow same time. Thank you for patiently hearing. Thank you.